The Wes Penra Papers. A Journey Through the Multiverse. The Second Level of Learning. http://wespenry.com. Appendix A, Paper Number 2. Updates on the Remarkable Michael Lee Hill Case Part 2. The World Teacher of the New Era. By Wes Penra, Saturday, November 17, 2012. http://wespenry.com. Part 4. 8. Maitreya, the World Teacher, and the Water of Life. We can understand the bloodline connection, but if there are quite a few who are of the same blood as Michael in the Ohio Valley area, did they just randomly pick one of these people and said, let's choose him? No, that doesn't sound like the Syrians at all, so let's see if we can come to another conclusion. Michael says that he is the Maitreya. When most people think about the Maitreya, they think of the second coming of Jesus, or some other aspect of him, who will save mankind from the evils of the world. So, is that who Michael says that he is? A world savior? Michael has probably gotten this question a few times, but his answer is that Maitreya only means loving kindness, and doesn't mean the savior of the world. But on the other hand, he feels that he does have a task to complete as a teacher. I will explain what he means by that, and much of it will be in Michael's own words directly and/or paraphrased, but also including my own comments. Michael starts with giving me a few quotes. The Maitreya is known by another name, which is Enki of the Anunnaki, preparing the way. Benjamin Creme is a Scottish author, artist, and esotericist, with connections to the Theosophical Society, once founded by Madame Helena Blavatsky. Creme is probably the best-known spokesman for the coming of Maitreya, the World Teacher. The Theosophists, through Annie Besant, once tried to introduce Krishnamurti as the Maitreya, but he later separated himself from them and became a teacher on his own. Alice Bailey, who said she was in telepathic communication with one of the masters, although she didn't expose who, told Creme that he would also get in telepathic communication with this master, who supposedly would be Maitreya. In 1975, the same year crop circles started showing up around the world, Creme started receiving messages from Maitreya and began to tell the world about it in 1977. Creme says that the Maitreya is the water of life. The only master who would fit that title is Lord Enki, Prince Ea. He is known in history and mythology under the term water of life, because he was the prime geneticist in the team who created Homo sapiens. So there is no doubt whom Creme and Bailey have been referring to. In order to understand the whole concept of what is happening here, we need to study the Wing Maker's material, Zecharia Sitchin, and Theosophy, as they are all related. They are all talking about the return of a world teacher in the passing of an old age and the beginning of a new. The old age is of course the age of Pisces, which is the age we are living in now. The new age is the age of Aquarius, which some say will start in 2013. Aqua means water, and it's been well known in the esoteric world that the age of Aquarius is the age of Enki, the water carrier and the water of life. In Isis Unveiled, Madame Blavatsky says, "My emphasis at the end. Those who are so ready to accuse the Chinese of irreligion will do well to read Schott's essays on Buddhism in China and Upper Asia in the years Yu and Yu of the Sung, AD 1086 to 1093, a pious matron with her 2 servants lived entirely to the land of enlightenment. One of the maids said one day to her companion, 'Tonight I shall pass over to the realm of Amida, Buddha.' The same night a balsamic odor filled the house, and the maid died without any preceding illness. On the following day the surviving maid said to her lady, 'Yesterday my deceased companion appeared to me in a dream, and said, thanks to the persevering supplications of our dear mistress, I am become an inhabitant of paradise, and my blessedness is past all expression in words.' The matron replied, 'If she will appear to me also, then will I believe all you say.' The next night the deceased really appeared to her. The lady asked, 'May I, for once, visit the land of enlightenment?' 'Yea,' answered the blessed soul, 'thou hast but to follow thine handmaiden.' The lady followed her, in her dream, and soon perceived a lake of immeasurable expanse, overspread with innumerable red and white lotus flowers, of various sizes, some blooming, some fading. She asked what those flowers might signify. The maiden replied, "These are all human beings on the earth whose thoughts are turned to the land of enlightenment." The very first longing after the paradise of Amida produces a flower in the celestial lake, and this becomes daily larger and more glorious as the self-improvement of the person whom it represents advances. In the contrary case, it loses in glory and fades away. The matron desired to know the name of an enlightened one who reposed on one of the flowers, clad in a waving and wondrously glistening raiment. Her whilom maiden answered, "That is Yang Qi." Then asked she the name of another, and was answered, "That is Mahu." 23. Here is the significance of water again in relation to mankind, but not only that. Where have we heard the name Mahu, the enlightened one, before? For those who remember my first level of learning may remember my papers on the wing makers. James, who is the spokesman for that site, says he is the head of the Kortum, which is the star race who is helping 15 and the Labyrinth group develop blank slate technology. James' real name, he admits, is Mahunahi. Can someone smell a bigger story here? Madame Blavatsky started it with channeling the ascended masters of the ethereal Great White Brotherhood, and Alice Bailey and Annie Besant took it further, until it landed on Benjamin Creme. All these years, the Theosophical Society has been waiting for the world teacher, the Maitreya, to incarnate here on earth. And we know, from reading the Wingmakers material, http://wingmakers.com, that James aka Mahunahi is talking quite a bit about theosophy. And now Michael Lee Hill has been in contact with Benjamin Creme. This wouldn't have happened if the energies didn't lead Creme to Michael. Benjamin Creme further says, and here he is quoting from his messages from the non-physical planes. "I come that men may have life, and that life more abundantly." Maitreya as the dispenser of the water of life of Aquarius. Maitreya will perform one of his major tasks in the new time ahead. As he so eloquently puts it in message number 42, the emphasis is Michael's. "Many times have you heard me say that my coming means change. Specifically, the greatest change will be in the hearts and minds of men, for my return among you is a sign that men are ready to receive new life. That new life for men do I bring in abundance. On all the planes this life will flow, reaching the hearts and souls and bodies of men, bringing them nearer to the source of life itself. My task will be to channel those waters of life through you. I am the water carrier. I am the vessel of truth. That truth shall I reveal to you and lift you into your true nature. I am the river. Through me flows the new stream of God-given life, and this shall I bestow on you. Thus shall we together walk through my garden, smell the perfume of my flowers, and know the joy of closeness to God. My friends, these things are not dreams. All of this will be yours. My mission will vouchsafe this to you. His is the task to transmit these waters of life, as physical life, nourishing the very cells of our bodies, as a new livingness, love and light within our hearts, and as life more abundantly love, light and power within and above the head of the disciple of the Christ, enabling him to cooperate more fully with the plan issuing from Shambhala, the center where the will of God is known. Now, let's compare Creme's messages with Sitchin's description of Lord Enki. Again, the emphasis is Michael's. Enki, the great chief scientist of the Anunnaki, was the leader of the first team of Anunnaki to come to Earth. His name, En.Ki, meant Lord of Earth in Sumerian. But that title was granted to him only later, after the arrival of his half-brother Enlil, En.Lil equals Lord of the Command. The original epithet name of Enki was Ea, commonly taken to mean he whose home is water. Enki was depicted by the Sumerians as a seated deity outpouring streams of water. Enki was the prototype of the water-bearer Aquarius and his zodiacal constellation. So, it's not really news that the age of Aquarius is the age of Enki/Ea, and some are expecting his return in one form or another. According to the Theosophical Society, although they have been reluctant over the years to tell his name, the world teacher will be Enki. But when you ask Michael if he is Enki, his answer is both yes and no. He said to me, "I have lived in many incarnations, one as a monk in Tibet, but he is quite certain that he is the Maitreya the world has been waiting for. He tells me that Enki and Maitreya are just two different labels for the same incarnating soul/higher self, oversoul. He says he is Michael, he is Enki, and he is Maitreya as well. I have had many, many names. What I am is nameless, but not voiceless, he says. He explains further that he is Enki's counterpart here on Earth, and if we look up the definition of counterpart in dictionary.com, we find one definition saying, for one of two parts that fit, complete, or complement one another. That would probably be our best definition, meaning that Enki as a full being is the higher self, the oversoul. This oversoul can then split herself into different fragments in order to live different incarnations, like I've explained throughout my papers. Currently, to my knowledge, and if Michael is correct, we have two incarnations of Enki that I am aware of. It is that of Anton Parks 25 and Michael Lee Hill. Both are here to teach, Michael being the older one and Parks the younger. It would, however, be interesting to check Anton Parks' CK level. We are all aware of what Prince Ea did on Earth as Lord Enki in the past, when he created Homo sapiens as a slave race to the Syrians, and how he also elevated certain bloodlines to rule over Earth when the gods were absent, but as puppets to the Syrians. These bloodlines are of course the 13 Illuminati bloodlines. Enki had a certain affinity for the Pleiadians at that time, and when the Pleiadians created the Nephilim, Lord Enki was all for it, while Lord Enlil was not. A renegade group of future Pleiadians, channeled through Barbara Marciniak, a group I've listened a lot to, say they are related both to Enki and the Syrians in the past. They have come to clear their karma and also, allegedly, to help us through these hard times called the nanosecond, 1987 to 2012. They want to make sure there are humans who choose another timeline than that of the Machine Kingdom, which will be brought down by the Syrians. If we do, it can change their timeline as well and erase the tyranny they live under in their present time, our future. They admit to have done both good and bad things back in the days of Mesopotamia, and earlier, and their ancestors were the ones who created the Nephilim together with Lord Enki and his consort, Ninhursag from Sirius. So, everything is related in one way or another, and it all adds up. We are close to come full circle, which I find extremely interesting, and a new age can begin. We humans have lived in total oblivion, while secret societies in the background, good and bad, have worked hard to accomplish their goals for the new era, which is supposedly starting now around 2013. One of my trusted sources said once that Enki is not bad in himself, but he is spontaneous, and doesn't always think about future consequences. When he created mankind, he did it partly to help his Syrian friends, who needed slave labor in their mines. But he also had other intentions with manipulating our genes. He wanted to fulfill his mother's wish to let her fire be inserted in the human race, his mother being the physical manifestation of the mother goddess, the queen of the stars. Enki did that, and the only way for him to accomplish it here on Earth, where his stepbrother Enlil was in command, was to go along with his brother's wishes to a certain degree. His intention, however, was to educate an elite of humans to know the secrets of who they were and the purpose of their mission here on Earth. So he created the bloodlines, while he kept the rest of humanity in ignorance. Thus, he had created elitism on Earth in old Syrian manner. And as everything went out of hand, the Syrians took over totally and could unhindered suck the fire out of humans and feed off the fear they were creating wherever they showed up. This was not exactly how Enki had planned it, and he had to admit to himself that his plans had failed, and he had also betrayed his mother by making a pact with the Syrians. I asked my source where Enki is now and what he is thinking about all this, and my source said that when Enki realized what he'd done, he probably said to himself, "Oops, too bad. Didn't mean to do that. Oh well, no use in crying over spilt milk." With that, my source meant that Enki has, or had, a tendency to do things too spontaneously without thinking of the consequences in the future, and when he saw what he'd done, he didn't want to take responsibility for it. However, said my source, when comes to where and what he is doing today, he is probably sitting somewhere thinking about how he can turn all this around and make it right. So, that's the good side of ENKI. He created elitism, which has created confusion amongst humans and a huge power rush amongst the selected ones, and we have the world we have today, including Marduk, ENKI's son, and his two sons running much of the show behind the scenes. We also have a patriarchal regime running this planet, with tyrants filling our lives with fear and stopping our direct communication with Source, the Mother Goddess. Due to that, the Syrians created what Mahunahi of the Wing Makers calls the HMS, Human Mind System, 26, I call it the grid. But, the New Age has for long been reserved for ENKI, according to old tradition and myth, and perhaps now is the time for him to send down his counterpart to Earth to make things right and work as a world teacher. This sounds very much like the second coming in the Bible, and of course it has all to do with prophecy. Like I've said for a long time now, the Book of Revelation and the Book of Daniel are the most profound prophecy literature we can probably find. According to Michael, Marduk is actually a very nice person, and his task has been a heavy one. He has had to play the bad guy to be the catalysts for mankind, so we can wake up and raise the frequency enough on this planet for his father to be able to return and spread his message. In a world where the frequency is low, ENKI's message would not come across, i.e. you can't throw pearls before swine. When I ask Michael how it feels to be the Maitreya, he says that he actually just feels like Michael, but he now knows who he is and what his purpose is. His future will tune itself, to use a musical term, Michael being a musician, and his vibration will be just right for him to fulfill his mission. That is the whole idea, at least, so we're told. 9. Michael Lee Hill, LPGC, SAALM, and the death of 4 billion. What is actually going on? This is pretty much where it stands today. According to Michael, the good and evil that has played itself out here over the last few thousand years has been a necessity to build up to what will happen in the new age of Aquarius. In fact, we are looking forward to a golden age, where mankind can stand on their own feet for the first time and realize what real sovereignty means. This is what Michael says he pretty much wants for himself and mankind, and so far, his goals and mine are the same. Michael is working very closely with Dr. Borden and a few other Nephilim hybrids at the moment, using their psychic powers to allegedly steer Nibiru off course, and possibly in the future dissolve the wave of the supernova, as I've called it, where intense energies will reach Earth and possibly destroy the whole civilization. Michael says that they have had incredible results from their sessions, and that Nibiru already is about 1 degree off course, to our favor. That's not enough, but they are working on it, to hopefully be able to save our planet from the impact as much as possible. Nibiru, according to both AR and Michael, is quickly approaching and is going to reach its closest point to Earth in December 2012. So there is not much time. This sounds like a very wonderful thing, and if there wasn't so much more to the story, I would be extremely delighted. Again, I believe Michael, I know he is as honest as he possibly can, and what he's doing in his way to contributing to the establishment of a new golden age for mankind. However, there is more to this, and I'll explain. The other side of the story would be that this whole thing is a deception, and that there is a very dark agenda to this, where we are fooled into thinking that things will be okay, when instead the Syrians, in line with their normal mentality, are taking over from the nano world, as described throughout my papers. I have come to trust my sources very much, and some I consider good friends of mine, showing me without any doubt that they are genuine and what they have told me is from the absolute best of their knowledge, and part of their way of living. Partly because of this, I have to say I am very suspicious about any agenda put out by the Syrian alliance. Also, according to my sources, Marduk is always bad news, and he is not here as a catalyst, although he per default is working as one to a lesser degree, with or without his own wish in the matter. But he is also a great deceiver, who can be whoever he wants to be, he can shift personality and shape at will. One source told me a couple of months ago, that of all the Syrians, Marduk is probably the worst, although he is actually half Aryan, being Enki's son. My source said that he is even worse than Enlil. I told in my papers that there seems to be a faction of the Syrians who are actually more highly evolved than the royal families who came down to Earth 500,000 years ago. Some of those who came never changed, while there were those who evolved and realized that what they were doing did not benefit anybody, neither themselves, nor others they came in contact with. I understand through my sources that Enki is basically good-hearted but needs to learn to take responsibility, and that he probably feels bad for what he did here once upon a time. So, perhaps he has been working with a faction of Syrians and others who will help him steer mankind back on track, and that this part is actually happening, making Michael's story credible. Time will tell, like I said in my first paper on Michael Lee Hill, but as much as I want to believe that, there are some very dark sides to this that I can't ignore. I know that Michael is also in contact with beings who seem very highly evolved, like a certain musician I was mentioning in the original paper, and when I listen to him performing, he is truly increasing the vibrations of the listener. There is a very wise being incarnated in that body, a teacher in his own right. Here are the things I can't ignore, however. 1 is LPGC's connection with U2 of the Ram clan, Enlil's clan. As the reader knows by now, I have been in contact with U2, and in spite of all his knowledge and the language he is using, his message did not impress me. And in one of my papers from the first level of learning, May 26, 2011, PFC paper number 3, New Revelations on the Story About the Wing Makers, the Labyrinth Group, and S.A.A.L.M, http://new-revelations-on-wingmakers.htm right parenthesis comma. It is evident that Dr. Borden was a part of SAALM. Supreme Anunnaki Assembly of Lord Marduk, headquarters located in the infamous Pine Gap, Australia, under the pseudonym P4, something that will be even clearer when the reader takes part of the info by following these links. http://www.bibliotecapieliads.net/sociopol_illuminati_40.htm right parenthesis comma http://www.bibliotecapieliads.net/archivos_pdf/salem01.pdf http://www.bibliotecapieliads.net/archivos_pdf/salem02.pdf and http://www.bibliotecapieliads.net/archivos_pdf/salem03.pdf. My suggestion is that you read them after you've finished this paper, as I am going to summarize them here below, but to see the absolute validity to them, I highly recommend that you read the evidence by following these links. There are the real documents, as they were written. Also, please review my first article on Michael Lee Hill, posed here, http://wespenry.com/new-revelations-on-wingmakers.htm once you've finished this paper. A lot of evidence is also in there. At that time I let the information speak for itself, I didn't comment on them, because that would have burned my bridges at the time. I left for the reader to figure it out. Now, however, the time has come to conclude. SAALM is also supposedly the highest degree of Freemasonry existing on Earth, note, on Earth, that is, and another name for it is the 33rd degree of Zion, and the members are allegedly reporting directly to Lord Marduk. According to their First Among Equals, which are the founding members, the 33rd degree of Zion is an organization in itself, absolutely top secret, but non-hierarchical, just like AR says about LPGC. The first protocol that was posted on Bibliotecapieliads website, the links above, says that the first among equals were P6, P2, and P1. So P4, aka AR Borden, was not a first among equals, but he is at LPGC. In SAALM he was, at least officially, just a bioscientist within the group. It was mentioned in the leaked documents that P2 is Dr. Henry Kissinger. I can't confirm that, but would it surprise anybody? His code name would in that sense have been Spartacus. The protocol for being a member of SAALM is listed here, http://www.bibliotecapeliades.net/archivos_pdf/salem01.pdf. P6, a first among equals, is listing 11 items which are the 11 rules the SAALM member needs to follow. 11 is one, if not the, most important power number for the Illuminati. 27. Breaking one of the more important rules is punishable with death. The first 50 members of the group are considered founding members, where the number 50 must be symbolic for the 50 epithets of Marduk. Type in Marduk in Wikipedia, and you'll find them mentioned there. The 9 first P members are listed in one of the protocols that were hacked from the SAALM server. P1 Plato, P2 Spartacus, P3 Aristotle, P4 Ningxia Zur, P5 Mithras, P6 Asmodeus, P7 Cicero, P8 Templar, P9 Ananias. Dr. A.R. Borden, being P4, therefore has the code name Ningxia Zur, a name I don't recognize from the Mesopotamian era, but which sounds very Aryan/Syrian. One member is called Traveler 1 as well, which is interesting, as one of the founding members of LPGC has the code name J. Traveler. AR has always repeatedly said that LPGC is a non-gov.org, which means they are not reporting to the government, except when really necessary, for national security reasons, and P6 says that SAALM is a non-gov.org as well. P6 then goes on with explaining life physics in its most basic terms, and also includes that this information needs to be out in public domain, and certain actions be taken by 2011. He also makes it very clear that membership within their group is by invitation only and is by no means for everybody. In other words, it's per definition a secret society. Their intention, when Michael showed up on the scene, was to recruit him into this group. Just like James Casbolt, former MI6 intelligence agent, says on his website, taken down since years back, that this is a very real group. The evidence for that is overwhelming, so it's no idea trying to convince me that this is some elaborate hoax, because anyone who reads the material can tell that it isn't. It's very real. It contains disinformation to protect the group's more sinister purposes, but other than that, it's very genuine. The purpose of SAALM is to accomplish a 25,000-year-old goal by Marduk, to keep this Syrian/Aryan star being on the throne of Earth after 2013 and in the same breath kill off a few billion people. See links above. Whether this will happen or not, or if it's a cover-up for something bigger that only a few insiders know of, remains to be seen. One such thing could be the takeover of Earth from the nano-world. Marduk is said, or was said in 2006, to live in an underground base under a lake in Tanzania, Africa, and has a temporary home around Mt. Zeal, close to Pine Gap, Australia. He presumably has had 2 residences at his convenience for the last few thousand years. AR at one time told me that Marduk is dead and died here on Earth, buried in an unknown location, and his 2 sons had now assumingly taken over. This, of course, is just smoke and mirrors, because even if Marduk really died, he can easily take on a new, grown-up human body and continue his work with only minor interruptions. While we have our attention on what Marduk will, or will not do, the real nano-invasion can take place unnoticed. There is little doubt that P4 is AR, because it's fairly easy to recognize his writing style, and from the context of P4's writing it's evident that it's him, and to this group Dr. Borden discusses his life physics, accelerated learning, his research on ENS, advanced remote viewing, topological thinking, and blank slate technology. Knowing that, we may question his motives for doing so, in case someone got the idea that he may have had infiltrated SAALM in order to expose its agenda, and therefore working as a double agent. This does not seem to be the case, however. The part about accelerated learning is especially concerning when in the wrong hands. When AR found out that Michael had met with Marduk and been accepted as one of them, and indeed also as the mate Rhea, AR started giving him tasks to read, which had to do with LERM, Light Encoded Reality Matrix, which is a Syrian technology, where the expert can bend light so that anything material can appear just as the person wants it to out of thin air. This is used by ETS all the time while on a material world, but what does it mean in regards to Michael? I don't know about the conclusion the reader is making, but mine is the Antichrist creating miracles. When mastering accelerated learning, which is the way to learn LERM, Michael can perform what looks like magic, when it's nothing of the sort. Still, it will create a whole lot of believers. The wing makers define LERM as follows. LERM is essentially an infinite field of possibilities, or, as Aristotle referred to it, potentia. This potentia is like fertile soil from which physical objects are created. Those who can orchestrate LERM through the application of their consciousness are able to manifest reality and not simply react to it. This manifestation can be instantaneous because again, quantum objects originate in non-time and non-space. From the second Dr. Neruda interview at http://www.wingmakers.com/neruda2.html right bracket. Isn't it interesting then, that James Casbolt and his wife back in England sees a triangular craft outside their residence in October 2006, emitting the same kind of lights that Michael later said he'd seen over Lake Erie? And after he's witnessed this, he is contacted by someone calling him Brother James. First of all, let me explain. When you are part of a secret society, you are called brother by your fellow members. However, again interestingly enough, brother is also what the A.am.I call each other when they have a lower status than lords, prince, or king, but still is considered Syrian friendly. AR used to call me brother for a long time, and so did you too. In this case, James is called brother by the anonymous email writer in more sarcastic terms. He says that the Zayden ship, indicating the Greys, is theirs, meaning it's a human craft, owned by Saalmn/or Marduk's Syrian clan. Michael claims that the lights over Lake Erie are from the incoming Nibiruans, which in that case is not true. Michael got the information from AR that the East Lake UFOs are not from the Mardukian side. The anonymous writer goes on explaining that Casbolt is microchipped and can be tracked at all times. It also mentions that SAALM has until 2012 to put Marduk into the public domain. This was exactly what was told to Michael by Marduk himself at the Assyrian Rising Festival. In a correspondence from 2006, SAALM was revealing that the financial meltdown would happen in 2008. And they were correct. Let's hope they're not correct when comes to the 2012 target to eliminate the majority of the world population. However, AR said recently that there will be ET intervention before the end of the year. In 2006, it came to the knowledge of some senior members of the group that a security breach had occurred within the group, and that a few bioscientists were the cause to this. It was assumed by the senior members that the breach happened because the scientists were not savvy with security matters, but we also know that AR has background within the intelligence community. If he had any rank there, which he had, he would have known how important security is. Now, the question is, was Dr. Borden one of those who created the security breach, and by doing so letting non-members have access to all the sensitive information? If that is the case, did the security breach happen on purpose because there were a few scientists who wanted to expose SAALM, or did it happen out of negligence? If AR was involved in the breach, I would quite certainly exclude negligence, and if he was not involved, it seems evident that he agreed with the goals of the group, to keep Marduk on the throne and kill off the greater part of humanity. Why otherwise introduce the science and the time travel technology to the group? AR was also the scientist in charge of deciding when to release ET info to the public in form of essays. This was prematurely done, I think, by me. I got hold of 2 essays written by Borden and another scientist, the link end between the devil and the incoming rock by an informant I had, and posted them both on my website. Shortly after, I was contacted by AR, who told me something to the effect that it was actually time to publish these essays anyway, and that's how my relationship with LPGC started. But why talking badly about Marduk, like AR did in his essays, if in secret he and his group were supporting him? We can only speculate, but again, it could be to S.A.A.L.M's advantage to play both sides. It was already known from history that Marduk is bad news, so they may have had to present him as that, while another side presented him as a catalyst, but basically a good guy with mankind's best at heart. Casbolt was recruited by SAALM after he'd been on air on the Daniel ODT show, talking about his background as a mind-controlled slave for MI6. Once he got his hands on the leaked document that came out from the security breach, and there were people who were going to expose it to the public by holding lectures about it, the same people dropped dead under mysterious circumstances, such as heart attacks, etc. This can easily be done on proxy. We must also raise the question that because Michael has been seeing the same lights over the Great Lake as Casbolt did in England, and Casbolt is microchipped, does that make Michael microchipped and traceable as well? Can they control his thoughts? Just questions we need to ask ourselves. On September 18, 2006, Casbolt got another letter from a SAALM member, mentioning both Kissinger and Zbigniew Brzezinski, FRMR advisor to President Jimmy Carter, as members of the organization, which is apparently privately funded by families such as the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers. One of Casbolt's close friends, who was one of those who was preparing to expose SAALM to the public, died on stage from a heart attack, from had been a healthy man. Shortly after, Casbolt got a letter from SAALM again, and the agent told him in quite threatening terms that this is what happens if you plan on talking in depth about Marduk in public. The letter is dated October 25, 2006. Also, we need to bring up some photoshopped pictures that circulated on Casbolt's site before he took it down. They were supposed to be of Enlil and his son, Nanu, but were manipulated pictures of Brzezinski and Kissinger. It was so badly done that anyone with any critical thinking could see they were fake. It was deliberately done this way, and is confirmed in another letter from SAALM to Casbolt, after the publication of the photos. This letter is dated November 30, 2006. I debunked these photos as well in the First Level of Learning, and earlier in an early version of my ebook back in 2009, The Myth Around Supreme David Rockefeller. These photos were made to discredit Casbolt, but as usual, it was cleverly done, because Brzezinski is supposedly Enlil in his human form, and Kissinger is Nanu. I have Brzezinski being Enlil confirmed by a source of mine, so I now have that from two different sources, independent from each other. This way, SAALM didn't have to lie when he saw to that Casbolt got hold of the pictures. They were actually genuine in its highest sense. They did lie, however, when they told Casbolt that Enlil is Marduk's son, which of course is not true, but something Casbolt posted as well, which had as its purpose to discredit SAALM in the public domain, so they could remain a secret organization even after the security breach. It worked for years, but if someone is not resolved, it has a tendency to once again come to the surface, like it does now. We can't get around the fact that AR was at least at one time was a member of both LPGC and SAALM. The leaked pages, posted on the internet by former MI6 agent James Casbolt, were from around 2007, while LPGC has been around quite a bit longer, according to AR. LPGC is officially against Marduk and his agenda, while SAALM, as we evidently know, is supporting the tyrant. Of course, the leaked information was never supposed to see the light of the day. AR working together with you two doesn't make me more convinced that he has our best interest in mind, unless I am missing something really essential here. After Casbolt had released the SAALM information, he was contacted by a member, which presented Dr. Borden as some kind of renegade, which could very well have been done to disinform Casbolt, who of course published that email. This way, Casbolt unwittingly paved the way for AR to enter the stage as a supposed Marduk opponent. The leaked SAALM documents were quickly taken off the internet, but could still be found on the Wayback Machine. That's where the above, very evil, and very revealing files were retrieved from. Lastly, before we round up, I want to mention that nowhere in LPGC's teachings is the divine feminine or the mother goddess mentioned. Both LPGC and SAALM are, regardless of what they say, an extension of the patriarchal regime. And as such, they are not to be trusted, at least that's how I see it. Now, AR is apparently supervising this meditation group which Michael Lee Hill is a part of, and their agenda is to save us from the incoming planet when it gets too close to Earth and steer it off course. The question is if this is legitimate, or if Nibiru actually was never a threat to begin with this time around. Therefore, is the meditation session directed towards something that is non-existing? And if so, will the same group take credit for have saved the world, and this will eventually bring Marduk to the throne of Earth, pretending he was behind this group in the first place, saving the world for us? There could be a similar agenda going on if the above is not exactly perfectly spotted. Regardless, I stand by my theory that the invasion is taking place in the nano world as we speak, and everything else is distraction. I also want to add, because people have asked, LPGC is gone. Their website has been taken down, http://lifephysicsgroup.org, and I heard that due to various things that have happened, LPGC as an organization does no longer exist. However, the research group it consisted of, led by Dr. A.R. Borden, is still intact. 10. Some end words for the end time. We humans were meant to be the guardians of this place. Will we be able to put our feet on the ground and say with great determination, no more, and walk away from it all to become our own sovereign beings, away from slavery and amnesia, and will we be guided on that mission, and if so, by whom, or will the dark forces win and take over in the anticipated machine kingdom? I would say, both will happen. There is not only one Earth, there are as many Earths as there are humans, and more. Being multidimensional means that we know the power of thought and that we create our own reality. Therefore, we are the ones who decide which Earth and which reality/universe we want to live in. The more we know, the better choices we can make. But the truth remains, some will choose darkness, others will choose light, but both will exist simultaneously, side by side in different worlds. And even in these different worlds, light and darkness will always coexist. The choice is not to get rid of one or the other, not as long as we live in the material world. The choice is to find the balance we need and want, and we do so by creating our own thoughts, one by one, have a clear mind and clear intentions, without sloppy thinking, and act upon our thoughts and our dreams in our local universe, which is our immediate environment. By doing so, we inspire like-minded to follow, and the world we want will be created before our eyes, or we will merge with one that is already existing because it matches our frequency. Michael's efforts to get this information out has been sabotaged in the past, we know that as a fact. And this is what it is all about. There are those who do not want the information about Nephilim hybrids still walking around on Earth to come out in the open. And there are those who don't want ENKI's efforts to send a fragmented part of himself as a world teacher to succeed, either, perhaps. But remember, the Syrians are very manipulative, and they have done everything in their power to elevate ENKI to look like a savior and a true friend of mankind while they have hidden the dark sides of what he did to Homo sapiens. Why has ENKI been described in such sacred ways? Can there be a not-so-benevolent agenda behind that? Are they using ENKI to easier be able to achieve more sinister goals, like the ones described above? There are many layers to every agenda, and a person can only see so much of the whole picture. But know for a fact, that when you tell yourself that you know it all, that's when your ignorance is speaking. This is also true when comes to the dark forces. There is always a higher purpose to everything, we can only decide which layer we want to experience at the moment, and it's related to how much we know and how well our neurological system is developed. We don't want any of it. If so, that's another choice we have, just to walk away from it all. This reality wouldn't exist without belief systems. That is what keeps this 3D intact. We tend to attack each other because we have different beliefs, when in fact we would have to let all belief systems go for this reality to cease to exist. It's nothing wrong with belief systems, they are there to serve us and teach us something, but the difference between a person who is enlightened and one who is not is to which degree a person can change his or her beliefs, or how stuck they are in them. The more fluid one is in one's belief systems, the more enlightened. Why? Simply because we have more choices. We can experience more, which makes us more knowledgeable and wiser, and the faster we can reach the stars. Most people are very rigid in their beliefs, and not until they become more fluid can they evolve. Therefore, when you listen to somebody, including me, don't be dogmatic about it. You earn your freedom by using your ability to think freely. Ultimately, we are all one, but our goals now are not to become one, but to learn from each other by being separate from each other, each with their own personality. This is important to remember. We are born into a universe to let the goddess experience herself, and metaphorically, we are her neurosensors, and as such, her teachers. We are one with her, but can't assist her if we are not separated. And in all this, why choose Michael as a vessel for the world teacher, if this is truly what he is? Well, I am sure that his bloodline was very carefully checked beforehand, and when it was decided that it was pure enough to host a certain soul, Michael, the soul, incarnated with full amnesia. Not until the last decade did he start to wake up, but all his life he has had ET experiences, where they have most certainly tampered with his genetics to fine-tune his body. The rest is history. When I bring up the dark sides of this agenda with Michael, he agrees with me, and says that although he disagrees with Marduk and his plans, he sees Marduk as a catalyst for mankind, and that he uses as much evil as necessary to wake mankind up. The more asleep we are, the more darkness/evil does he and his clan have to express in order for us to react and change. This is all in line with what Hidden Hand said about catalysts, and to a certain degree also the RA material. Although we do need catalysts at times to be able to look at ourselves and find the goodness in our hearts, I don't see the point in having to terminate billions of people because mankind is asleep. That is not the way we learn, as I see it. It's happened before, on old Terra, and that traumatized the souls for millions of years to such a degree that they became lost souls, as described in the RA material. Mankind was born in slavery, and has lived in slavery ever since. Who created us and who created the slavery? The same masters who are now claiming to be our catalysts. All we know is slavery, and yes, many are waking up at this time, but we learn in our own pace, and creating such a mass trauma as a termination of most of mankind is not helpful. Michael says that in all this, what he is experiencing is pure love, and that's what he feels he is emitting, and that is his message. And as long as that is the case, he will move on with his path to possibly become a world teacher. I know he is referring to the splitting of worlds as well, just like I have been doing in my papers, and that we all have a choice which world we want to live in. We even have the choice to be terminated. This is the message to mankind. I have presented it as it is known to me and hope it may be useful for the reader in order to make a conscious decision about our future. That is all I wish to accomplish. If I can accomplish that in just a few individuals, I can find peace inside in the sense that I feel I have accomplished what I came here to do. And I am far from alone. Together we can raise the frequency above all this evil and create a world we wish to live in. We need teachers. There is absolutely nothing wrong with teachers. But always listen and hear what the teachers have to teach. Are they teaching the old ways of the Mother Goddess and the Divine Feminine, or are they telling you about a male god, or of a neuter universe? If a teacher is teaching you about the Divine Feminine and the old ways of the Goddess, I would lend an ear, but if not, I wouldn't bother. However, in a free will universe we have choices, and there are many dishes on the table. Choose the one you like the best, know your own power, and change your mind anytime it feels like the right thing to do. Life will always be as wonderful as we make it.